So, up until a few months ago, I've never really played much indie games. I had this mindset that games made by a small development team would not match up to the very high standards that AAA titles seem to have nowadays. I've played games such as Red Dead Redemption 2, and if you played that as well, then you'll obviously know what standards I'm talking about. I highly advise against having this mindset that indie games just aren't as good as AAA titles, and I'll tell you about what changed my mind. So, it was Firewatch. Firewatch is a beautifully designed walking simulator type of game where your character, Henry, starts a new position as a fire ranger as his new summer job to distract him from his diminishing home life. Immediately I was introduced to the main characters, Henry and my companion, Delilah. The game provides a well-structured character development for a radio talking system between your character and Delilah, full of personality and room for the player to interpret both characters' ideologies with different decisions, and also allows for the player to create what type of character Henry is through his responses to Delilah. Very few linear storyline games have hooked me in quite like Firewatch has. I went into the game expecting it to be focused on aesthetic, but it was so much more than that. Yeah, the game is amazingly pretty, with every single frame being screenshotable and potentially set as a desktop wallpaper, but it's the story that stood out for me. The forest is shrouded with mystery. Every cabin tells a story, as does every cache box that you may discover on your adventures. Whilst the game does not feature any physical characters, the developers still managed to get you emotionally attached to the forest residents. By the end of the game, the devs had me fearing for Henry's life, and every step I took was filled with cautiousness and paranoia. These emotions are something I never expected to feel when I opened Firewatch, which pleasantly overwhelmed me with a strong attachment to the game. I went into this indie game expecting a beautiful but basic game, and I came out immensely impressed. The voice acting was exceptional. Every time Delilah spoke, it had me imagining what face could match such a voice and notably hilarious character. And that's another huge area of Firewatch. Delilah. The game never reveals what your companion looks like, and I think that's what kept me hooked onto playing the game. I wanted to see her face so badly, this person that had spoken to me every single day I spent at the forest, both sharing in the isolating feel of a forest where you are miles away from the next person. The game intends for you to get extremely attached to her, and it gives you that anticipation, that hopefulness to one day meet her. This mystery was what forced me to play and finish the entire game in one sitting. Game development at its best, when the story and gameplay are so incredible, players are hooked from the start and stay until the end in a single sitting. There wasn't a single moment where I felt like playing any longer was a chore. I didn't force myself to continue, I wanted to. I felt like I was watching a movie the entire playthrough, but only I was deciding my fate. That's what AAA titles sometimes lack in. The only real issue I have with Firewatch is the lack of endings. The dialogue system is so good and has so much potential to create multiple endings. However, the ending is absolutely not bad, but it is a slight shame that there's only one type of way the game ends. To conclude this amateur review, I think that Firewatch is a must-play for both new players and old. Its storytelling, world and aesthetic has a completely different vibe to bigger AAA titles. So, in conclusion, I think that I'd rate Firewatch an 8.7 out of 10. Thank you for listening, and give me a thumbs up if you'd like, if you enjoyed, and subscribe for more of this type of content. See ya.